After an eventful pair of races on the road course at Mosport, we get back to short track racing here at Montmagny this week. There were a couple of drivers who didn't earn themselves too many fans last week, namely Richard Scott and Ryan Griffin, who forced the green-white checkered in round 2 by wrecking Casey Lester, who was on his way to a top 5 finish. And perhaps Griffin's biggest critic in the aftermath of that race was Lucy Barnton, who was leading at the time we had that green-white checkered, and Barnton was bumped out of the way on the last lap by Libby Bell, who went on to win the race. And of course, Earl, you had some difficulties of your own in round 1 with the lapped car of Barry McIntyre. Right, the less said about that, the better. Well, you're going to be in the Duckroll development car for this race as well, so you've got a chance to improve on that second place. As Libby Bell and Bobby Porteau lead the field to the green flag. Here in round number 1, Libby Bell gets a great start. Rip Tyler, car 16, started in 3rd place. He gets a good jump as well and takes the second spot from Bobby Porteau through turns 1 and 2, and it's Power Steering Incorporated 1-2, but Rip Tyler is not satisfied, hanging around in 2nd place. He's going to take the lead from Libby Bell after the first lap. Bell got Power Steering Incorporated's first win of the season at Mosport last week. Andrea Canassa had a pit for a mechanical problem on lap number 2. She's going to fall a few laps down. Canassa finished 8th last week, but obviously, that's not going to be happening today. Bigsby Foot is up to 5th on lap number 5, which puts all 3 PSI cars in the top 5. Riley Durbin, after a bit of contact with Claire Aussier, gets into Earl McDermott's sending him around. Rachel Rainsford, car 71, is off the road as Casey Campbell gets into the back of the 86X. That's going to be our first caution of the race on lap number 5. Rip Tyler continues to lead on the restart. Andrea Canassa on the inside, trying to get one of her many laps back. However, she isn't able to keep up with Rip Tyler as car 16 pulls away from the field. AJ Young is back in car number 15 this week for M&J Racing. He is currently running in 25th place. Luke Pellerin salvaged a 10th place finish in this car at Mosport last week after being spun on the green-white checkered. Here is Harry Asinola, currently 11th, going for 10th place on Lucy Barnton, and he's going to get by Dan Lechlater for 9th as well. So Enola picks off 2 cars in the same lap. Enola's got a very fast car under him right now. Eric Jackson trying to get by Kyle Gaffigan for 12th place. He makes a bit of contact with the 07 car. Of course, we all remember what Jackson did at Mosport last week, trying to complete the last lap while everyone else was on their cooldown lap, as Bigsby Foot challenges his Power Steering Incorporated teammate Rip Tyler for the lead of the race. They're racing very hard. I believe they made a bit of contact off the exit at 2 as Foot clears Tyler for the lead. But Tyler's going to be coming back, working lap 25. We're already a quarter of the way through this race, and the battle continues. Foot trying to outbrake Tyler, washes up the track. Tyler sticks his nose ahead. He's going to lead the lap. Back at Mexico, Bigsby Foot was running a lap down to Tyler, trying to protect Tyler's lead from Ashley Tucker until Foot decided to get by his teammate on the last lap and cost him the win, as Ryan Griffin has a problem and takes that 86 car to the pit lane. He's going to fall several laps down, although he's going to get back onto the track eventually. PSI teammates continue to battle each other as Bigsby Foot eventually clears Rip Tyler for the lead. Claire Aussier made her ARLA debut at Mosport last week. She finished 3rd, although this week, in front of her home crowd, she's not doing as well. She's currently 13th in between Philip Borland and Kyle Gaffigan. Harry Enola continues to carve his way through the field. He just got by Bobby Porteau. That was for the 4th spot. That is a year-old Riggs Motorsports car that Enola's driving for Peter Irving Gray Sports, but he's still got one of the fastest cars on the track today, as Bigsby Foot starts to run into some of the lap traffic. Joel Lennick and Ashley Tucker are getting in the way, and that is Rachel Rainsford, car 71, second in points. She's struggling with that car today. Kyle Gaffigan and Kiriki Itsuno, the former teammates at Town Delgado Racing last year, going at it as Gaffigan gets pushed into the side of the 422 of Casey Campbell. It looks like Campbell didn't like that. She shoves the 07 and 4 together. They go into the wall, and that's going to be the second caution of the race here on lap number 42. Kyle Gaffigan and Kiriki Itsuno both go out of the race. Bixby Foot leads on the restart. Barton Sandy, car number 92, is the first car a lap down, and he's fighting to get back on the lead lap. He almost slides up into the 14 car. Barton Sandy has been very fast in the 92 for Gordon Green Racing, but not so much today. Andrea Canassa is still running 4 laps down. She gets loose into the side of the 707 of Edwin Shortslowski, and there's contact with the 16 of Rit Tyler. They're both in the wall. Rit Tyler loses a spot to Joseph Howard, the 17 car. Rit Tyler was leading earlier in the race, and this is going to be quite the setback for him as there's contact between Allie Riggs and Rachel Rainsford. Now they're both in the wall. Working lap 54 now. Rachel Rainsford and Allie Riggs are both going to go out of the race. Riggs just slid up and didn't leave Rainsford with too many options. This is going to be the first DNF of the year for Rachel Rainsford, who was chasing Taylor Brillen in the point standings. She ate into Brillen's lead with her win at Mosport, but this is going to be a huge setback for the Gravity Racing Inc. team. As Barton Sandy continues to fight to get back on the lead lap, contact with the 14 car. Barton Sandy is over. The caution is out. Not for this, though. Barton Sandy slides down into turn 1 on his roof. He flips back onto his wheels. He keeps the 92 car going, and it doesn't look like he has too much damage there. Barton Sandy would not end up pitting for that. Here's what the caution was for right after the restart. AJ Young slides up into Eric Jackson. Jackson does a little spin on his nose there. Claire Alcier, car 28, got caught up in that, but got away without too much damage. Eric Jackson and AJ Young would go out of the race. Bixby Foot continues to lead on the restart. Harry Anola's in second place. There's the other Bjorn Green Racing car of Ashley Tucker trying to get back on the lead lap herself. Harry Enola running in second place for Peter Irving Gray Sports. Enola has not won a race in the series since 2010. That came at Loudon when he was running 26 seconds behind Namimura, and she blew her engine from the lead. Kind of sounds like what happened to her last week. Lucy Barnton, who was half a lap away from getting her first win in the series last week, is currently running in 7th place, doing a very good job following up on her second place finish as she now sets her sights on Libby Bell, who bumped her out of the way to take the win. Earl McDermott and Claire Alcier going at it for 12th place right now. McDermott's going to take the position without too much of a problem. These two finished second and third in round 1 last week, as the battle for the lead is now on between Harry Enola and Bixby Foot. Enola's going to slide up in front of Foot off of turn 2, but it looks like Foot's got to run down into 3. Enola slides up the track a little bit. Foot sticks his nose in there. They almost made contact. Enola ran wide and almost hit the wall, as Foot now has a clear shot to the inside. He washes up, almost makes contact with the 45 again. I'm not really sure who's going to come out on top. Enola and Foot seem to be very evenly matched at the moment, as they're exchanging the lead back and forth. Foot clears Enola off of 2, but Enola's now going to try the crossover. It's going to be 20 laps to go when we get to the line. Foot trying to get his first win of the season. Enola trying to get his first win in 3 years. At the end of last season, there was no room at the inn at M&J Racing for Harry Enola, but he was picked up by Peter Irving Gray, a late model owner down in the southeast. He purchased all of the old Riggs Motorsports car and picked up Enola, as well as rookie J.W. Lester, as Bixby Foot and Enola continue to go at it for the lead. Foot now trying to clear Enola, but we're going to see if Enola is going to try the crossover once again, as these two have done so often in the last several laps. Everyone at the track is paying attention to this back and forth between the 14 and the 45. No one's sure who's going to come out on top as Foot gets into the back of Enola, gets him a bit out of shape, but Enola still has the preferred line on the inside. We're going to see if Foot can still challenge the 45. Yes, he can. There's still no end in sight to this battle as Foot dives in there, side by side coming to the line. Foot's going to lead the lap. This has been one of the best fights I've seen this season as Enola now gets into the back of Foot, gets him out of shape. Just like we saw Foot get into the back of him just a few laps ago. I have a feeling if they don't get this settled soon, we're going to be seeing a couple of wrecked race cars at the end of this. But now it looks like Foot finally clears Enola and keeps the lead. As that calms down, we now have a look at Rip Tyler, who is back up to third. He got backed by Joseph Howard. Bobby Porteau is running in fifth in one of those rare instances this year where the 74 car holds up. Libby Bell and points leader Taylor Brillin going at it for fifth. It looks like Bell has the upper hand at the moment. Taylor Brillin is looking to extend her points lead with her main rival, Rachel Rainsford, out of the race. Lucy Barnton still running seventh, trying to get up into this fight as well. Bigsby Foot has taken the white flag as we run into some lap traffic, but that's not really going to be a problem for Foot as he comes off the final corner and takes his first win of the year. Harry Enola put up a valiant effort, but he's going to have to settle for second as his winless streak continues. Bigsby Foot scores 111 points. He led the most laps at 68. Harry Enola led 8 laps of his own while he was exchanging the lead with the 14 car. Rip Tyler third, Joseph Howard fourth, Bobby Porteau fifth, Taylor Brillin sixth. She got back around Libby Bell for that spot. Lucy Barnton, another top 10 finish for her. Barnton was very fast towards the end of 2012, and it seems that she has found that speed once again. Claire Aussier, 13th place, the first car 1 lap down. Andrea Canassa has to settle for 19th place, 4 laps down. She was the last car running. Eric Jackson was the first car out of the race. Allie Riggs and Rachel Rainsford went out of the race together. Riggs, as you may remember, had a bit of a grudge against Rachel Rainsford a few years ago, and Riley Durbin was the first car to go out. We now go over to round number 2, where Jim Hayes wins the pole. Jim Hayes looking to bounce back from all that bad luck that he's had in recent weeks. Lucas Sweeney started on the outside of the front row, but Kevin Monroe sweeps up into the second position. Laura Cyrus now coming up to challenge Lucas Sweeney for third. And coming to lap number 5, you see that Hayes is already putting the Team Bird cars a lap down. Cletus McGuffey hits the wall as he gets out of Hayes' way. And Derek Dudding is not going to be too much of a problem for the 77 car either. The Team Bird cars being courteous, but they're still very slow as they now create problems for the rest of the field. Ramsey Cockiner, car 31, making contact with the 54. Robert Nelson, the A9, sweeps by, taking advantage of that. Nick Asher, car 46, then makes contact with the A9 as Derek Dudding, car 68, gets in the way. Nick Asher has had a lot of trouble finishing races this year. Caution 1 was for debris down at the entrance to turn number 3. Michael Madrigal seemed to run over it. He ran off the road, and Madrigal would be the first casualty of the race. Jim Hayes continues to lead on the restart. Monroe second. Laura Cyrus in third. On the restart, Cletus McGuffey is going to slide up into J.W. Lester, send the 5-0 car sideways. That's going to be the second caution of the race. Lester gets it back going, but he loses several positions. Leslie Riggs got stuck behind the 5-0 and lost several positions as well. Derek Dudding has a tire go down under caution. He's going to bring the 68 car to the pit lane and lose a couple more laps. After the restart, Cletus McGuffey gets turned by Ryan Matthews and is sent for a slide off the road down into turn number 1. This doesn't bring out the caution as McGuffey tries to get it back going. Barry McIntyre comes into the pit lane with a problem. I believe he had a tire go down on the C4 car. The caution is out as McGuffey seems to be very sluggish getting back onto the road, and that prompted the officials to throw the yellow. This would be our third caution of the day, working lap 25 or so. Kelly Splicen would go out of the race with an engine failure on the Wilson Tech car. Jim Hayes continues to lead the race. He tries to pull away from Kevin Monroe, who won at Williams Grove a few weeks ago. Looking at Cletus McGuffey again as Trey Ashby gets into the back of him. McGuffey hard into the wall. Down into turn number 3. That's a big crash. Trey Ashby flipped over in that 12 car. Here's another look at it. Trey Ashby gets into the back of the 54 car and turns him into that wall that juts out rather dangerously on the inside of turn 3. Richard Scott, Alex Carson, and Nick Asher got caught up in that. Fortunately, everyone was able to climb out of their cars. Jim Hayes continues to lead the race. Barry McIntyre is trying to get back on the lead lap. He pulls even with Hayes on the restart, and he's gonna be a bit of a headache for the 77 as he fights to get his lap back. Laura Cyrus coming after Kevin Monroe for the second spot, and she is going to try to get up to the 77 as McIntyre continues to hassle him. Contact between the C4 and the 77 car as Hayes tries to protect his lead from the 42. We're approaching lap 40 in this race as Kevin Monroe has blown up in the 63 car. He's got traffic coming through on the inside. He's not going to be able to get that 63 car off the road. He's going to come to a stop as Lucas Sweeney smashes into the back of him. Ryan Matthews into the back of the 8 car. And all 3 of those cars are going to go out of the race. I believe Monroe has only finished 2 races this year. Williams Grove, which he won, and Mosport last week. Jim Hayes continues to lead Laura Cyrus up to second, but here comes Leslie Riggs challenging Cyrus for that spot as McIntyre continues to hassle the 77 car. McIntyre, who I believe is the only Canadian driver in this round, has just put Jim Hayes in the wall, fighting to get his lap back. Leslie Riggs sweeps into the lead. Hayes now comes under attack from Laura Cyrus. That is Robert Nelson in the A9 car up to 4th place. Nelson has been quietly working his way up through the field after starting pretty far back, as Hayes is still trying to fend off the 42 car. Cyrus clears Hayes for second. I believe that Hayes is struggling with some of that damage right now. That's got to be frustrating for Hayes as he gets taken out of the lead by an over-exuberant lapped car. Cyrus now trying to reel in Leslie Riggs for the lead of the race. Riggs won at Milwaukee a few weeks ago, while Cyrus is still looking for her first win in the ARLA Elite Series presented by Smash Beer. Cyrus has caught Riggs as we now go on board the 50 car, as there goes Cyrus to the inside. Oh, there's contact. They're both in the wall. And Cyrus, a big crash for the 42 car as Laura Cyrus has broken through the wall. The race will be red flagged for about 45 minutes as the track workers replaced that section of the wall. Leslie Riggs would be okay as she drove that 50 car back to the pits, but Laura Cyrus was walking with a bit of a limp as she got out of her car. Working lap 61 now, Robert Nelson is the leader of the race. He was in 3rd before Cyrus and Riggs crashed. Nelson, who is one of 2 Australian drivers in the field, is now struggling with the lapped car of Barry McIntyre. Jim Hayes looking to take advantage of that, ironically enough. Hayes using McIntyre as a pick to get under the A9 car, entering turn number 1. Hayes trying to take the lead back. He did not pit to get that damage repaired after McIntyre put him into the wall. That doesn't seem to be bothering him now, although he did seem to struggle with the car for a few laps after going into the wall. John Hawks and J.W. Lester, cars 114 and 5-0, going at it for 6th. Lester into the back of the 114 car, but Hawks fends him off. Hawks needs a bit more luck this year. he's been struggling to finish races, although when the MT Motorsports crew has finished, they've usually finished pretty well, as Robert Nelson continues to challenge Jim Hayes for the lead. The 77 car seems to have fallen off just a little bit, although Hayes is still hanging in there. Robert Nelson, the rookie, with a very impressive run so far, trying to get his first win in the series. Hayes is a rookie as well. He's won 2 races this year already, although he's fallen into a bit of a slump for this past month. Namimura has been quietly coming up through the field. She just got by Herbie Finkelberg for 3rd. Mura led the most laps in the second round at Mosport last week until her engine gave up while she was leading the race, although that's been standard operating procedure for Kurt Walker Motorsports for this past year. Zachary Zinn's car number 99 has just gotten by J.W. Lester for 6th place. Zinn's protege Daniel Diamond finished in 14th in round 1. Nick Asher in car number 46 got caught up in that big accident with Cletus McGuffey and Trey Ashby, but Asher is still in the race. He is currently running in 9th place, although Asher, I believe, is still in danger of being kicked out of his ride in favor of drivers with more money. As Kelly Posadas and Jessica Graham are going at it for 11th place, contact between the 59 and the 88 sends Graham off the road, and that's going to be the 7th caution of the race, working lap number 75. Graham would fall out of the race due to complications from that damage not long afterwards. Jim Hayes continues to lead on the restart, but Mura is now up to 2nd, and Barry McIntyre is still fighting to get his lap back. So that's going to be quite the headache for Jim Hayes. Robert Nelson trying to come after Mura for 3rd, but Mura holds him off. Mura now all over the back of the 77 as Hayes continues to struggle with the C4 car. McIntyre was quite the headache for Earl McDermott last week, and McDermott's desire to get rid of him cost him the win. So McIntyre has been a very bad back marker in these past couple of weeks. Hayes gets by him and keeps the lead, but McIntyre would get back up there and get back under the 77. So the 77 car does seem to have fallen off a bit. Or maybe Hayes is having some problems with that damage after all. But there's really only so many ways I can say that McIntyre is being an absolute pain for Jim Hayes. He's been an absolute pain for him all race, and it looks like it's going to cost him the lead as Mura sneaks under the 77 car. Side by side entering 3, Mura is going to have the preferred line. Mura now under the C4 car, and it looks like Mura's going to get by McIntyre very easily. A further slap in the face to Jim Hayes. But Mura, after blowing up from the lead last week, now seeks redemption, coming to just 2 laps to go. Mura has got to be very nervous right now, hoping that her car will hold out. Like Harry Inola, Namimura has not won a race since 2010, and that came at Buffalo Downs on a technicality as Mura finished 2nd to Benji Flynn, but Flynn was stripped of the win after failing post-race inspection. But today, Namimura will come off the final corner and take her 3rd career win. The 19-year-old Japanese driver finally makes her way back to victory lane. On top of the 105 points she got for winning the race, Mura only scored 1 bonus point for leading lap. Jim Hayes scored 101 points. I believe that's the first time this season that we've seen the 2nd place finisher break 100 points. But Hayes has got to be frustrated with struggling with Barry McIntyre all day. Nick Asher's car held out for him as well. He finished in 9th place. I believe that's his first career top 10 finish. Barry McIntyre, 14th place, the first car 1 lap down. He's been a pain for the leaders all day. Kevin Monroe fails to finish another race due to an engine failure, and he took Lucas Sweeney and Ryan Matthews with him. Kelly Splicen also out with an engine failure, and Michael Madrigal went out of the race after running over that debris down in turn number 3. We now take a look at the point standings. Ending our Canadian tour, Taylor Brillin extends her lead to 75 points over Rachel Rainsford, Rip Tyler 3rd, Jim Hayes and Joseph Howard back up to 4th and 5th with their good finishes today. Jessica Graham failed to finish the race, but she's still in a tie for 8th with the 707 car of Kiriki Hitsuno and Edwin Schwartzlowski. The 39 car shared by Dejao and Moore jumps up to 11th place after Moura's win. Allie Riggs is down to 17th place after her crash with Rachel Rainsford. Leslie Riggs and Finkelberg tied for 18th place. Lucy Barnton continues to climb up through the point standings as she finds more and more speed this year. Laura Cyrus and Lucas Sweeney failed to finish both of the Canadian races. Alex Carson drops to 32nd place. Ryan Griffin and John Haltz tied for 33rd. Nick Azure finally breaks the top 40 after finishing another race this year, and Jason Bates rounds out the top 40. Next week will be the Stars and Stripes 776 at Pocono, the next incarnation of the annual ARLA Endurance event. With nobody locked in, this race has the potential to shake up the point standings.